Thank you for participating in today's webinar, White Hat Hacking, Do You Have What It Takes?, hosted by the University of Fairfax. My name is David Tufano, and I work in the admissions office at the University of Fairfax. University of Fairfax is the only 100% online accredited graduate institution focusing solely on cybersecurity in the nation. Please feel free to contact myself with any academic questions you may have. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Leo Dregier. Leo has over 13 years of experience as a cybersecurity professional. Previously, he served as a computer security incident response team leader for Lockheed Martin. Since 1995, as a principal of the Security Matrix LLC, he has provided consulting services to government agencies including Department of State, Department of Labor, Internal Revenue Service, and the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare. As an experienced practitioner and gifted instructor, Mr. Dregier has helped thousands of IT professionals meet 8570 requirements. Over the past 10 years, he has guided his professional students to successfully obtain cybersecurity certifications, including CISSP and Certified Ethical Hacker. He is EC Council certified in 16 different areas. Mr. Dregier holds numerous professional certifications, including CISSP, CEH, CISM, CISA, and PMP. Please join me in welcoming Leo Dregier.
All right, welcome everybody. How's everybody doing? So I want to talk today about white hat hacking, what it's going to take to get to your journey. Where do you start? What are the different problems? What are the different opportunities? The different phases of it. But before we get into all that, I really want to talk about how do you think like a hacker, right? So let's get into it. I want to give you guys a pop quiz. Here are the rules. I'm standing in front of you with $100 in a room full of 1,000 people. Any one person can have this $100 bill. All you have to do is do one thing, right? So what you can do is you can use some of the different hashtags and the chat dialogue. I want to see what is it that you have to do to get this $100 bill. Now remember, this is a thinking exercise. Anybody can do it. Use the hashtags, use the chat. What do you have to do to get this $100 bill? All you have to do is one thing. That one thing is taking action, right? If you want to go on any journey, let's say you want to go on a camping trip, you just all of a sudden poof camping, right? You have to prepare for it. You have to pack your bags. You have to go along a journey. You have to travel to your destination. You have to set up camp, right? So it's not all of a sudden poof you're there, right? Becoming a hacker, becoming a white hat, a gray hat, or even a black hat hacker, it's no different. It all resides in taking action. All right, so let's sort of map out how we're going to get there. All right, the journey begins at the bottom of a hill or a city, right? But if you want to get to the top of a mountain, that's where the view is, right? Now, how many people do you think are at the bottom of the mountain versus at the top of the mountain? It's very, very important to put this in perspective. You know, I recommend that everybody go to the highest mountain that you can see and climb to the top of it, right? You are going to learn a lot about yourself simply by doing it. Of course, the view is from the top, but it's the journey and how do you actually get there. So if you want to become a white hat or a gray hat hacker, the view is at the top, right? That's your destination. But everybody's going to be starting from a different starting point, right? Some people are going to start, you know, out in town, out in the city. Some people are going to be on the edge of the city, closer to the mountain. Some people might even be living, you know, at the bottom of the mountain, right? Everybody's going to start at a different phase, okay? As I talk about white hat and gray hat hacking, I want you to think about this in terms of climbing a mountain, right? Where are you starting? But ultimately, you're going to some sort of destination, right? I'm going to map that path out through several analogies in this presentation. What I'd like you to do is look at my LinkedIn profile. It's perfectly optimized for what I'm specifically trying to do. Okay. If you want to move forward, well, a lot of that happens in the social arenas these days. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest are among the most common that you absolutely have to become fluent with, because that's where the people that have the resources that you're going to need to access, that's where they're hanging out. Okay? Right? So think about it in terms of even your own popularity. Are you unknown in your industry, or are you very known in your industry? What would you perceive as the bottom of the mountain versus the top of the mountain? Right? If nobody knew you, would that be at the bottom? Or if nobody knew you, would that be the view at the top? Just different points of view. Right? Try to rank higher in your arena. Right? Use LinkedIn. It tells you right in front of you, this is how you rank among your peers. Right? Some of you will start at at the 90%. Some of you will start at the 50%. Some of you will get to the 1%. Right? The closer you go to or lower the number, the higher you are on top of the mountain. Okay? So that's just a little perspective. Also, how many people are looking at what you do? Right? If you want to become a hacker, well, you're going to need the network. You're going to need to communicate with people. You're going to have introductions. Some of those will be productive. Some of those won't be productive. Right? Just use LinkedIn as a tool. If you want to get networked in the white hat hacking and find out who the white hat hackers are and who the gray hat hackers are, you can easily do that because your social networks essentially provide a map of who is in your space, what people are doing and where do you find them. Those are the questions that are asked and answered on most of the social networks. Okay, so if you get known for something, your profile generally gets higher. I'm specifically known for being a CISSP trainer, ethical hacker, and pen tester. Right? If you look at all of my social stuff, that's pretty much what it all points to. If you look at the groups and the memberships and the affiliations, you can easily enumerate, keyword there, enumerate that information. That gives you insight into what you are trying to achieve. That's the advice that I would give you if somebody said, hey, what's it take to be a hacker, a white hat hacker? I would say that there's multiple parts of your journey, but if you're starting at the bottom of the mountain, ultimately you're going to need to get to the top. An easy way to kind of find out what that map looks like is by using the social networks. 100%. This is 2016. More things are happening socially every single year, right? So who are the players and how are you playing with them? If I were you, I would write that down. Who are the players and how are you playing with them? That is very, very important for you to kind of take into consideration in your plan to achieve something, especially on a social network. Okay. So the more views, more popularity, the higher you get in terms of the results that you're trying to achieve, right? It puts you out there. If nobody knows who you are, well, that's of course why you're having problems finding the jobs, finding the groups, interacting with people. Effectively, socially, you don't participate. Right? Imagine going to a party and everybody's participating except for that one person that's standing off to the side. Right? Were you going to go and participate or are you going to stand off to the side? The social networks is where you participate nowadays. So here's what you were told we were going to do today. You told that we were going to talk about hacking, what it takes to become an ethical hacker, a white hat hacker, even to get certifications like certified ethical hacker or even licensed penetration tester or offensive security or even security plus and CISSP certifications. Okay, but if you're interested in ethical hacking in any way, shape, or form, you are going to need a roadmap. And I promised you that this webinar would be for you. And so ultimately, that's what we are going to achieve, but we're going to do it a different way. Okay, although I want to talk about the common hurdles that you're going to go through as an ethical hacker or a penetration tester, it's all about your mind and your mindset. You have to have a really, really strong reason of why. The stronger your reason of why, the easier the how gets, right? I want you to think about that for a second. You should probably write that down too, right? Or you can use it with our hashtags, okay? So it's all about the right techniques, the different informations, and how to study during the different phases of getting to your end result. But I want to be very, very clear on something. Most of the people that are going to ever listen to this, they're going to think success is a straight line. Like, poof, there's some sort of instant result that's going to happen. Or I'm going to give you a magic book or make you watch a magic video. And all of a sudden, you're going to be, poof, a white hat hacker. And that's not what's going to happen today. That's not what's going to happen in the next week. Success, if you want to become a hacker, a white hat, or a gray hat hacker, I said, don't say black hat hacker because, those are typically the bad guys. So the gray hats help the white hats defeat the black hats. That's the game that gets played, right? But nonetheless, success is not a straight line, right? There's going to be some turns and some ups and downs, some problems and some opportunities. Well, I'm going to talk about those today. So what we're actually going to do is walk you through some different stages of becoming the white hat or gray hat hacker. And I also want to address the big money in the room, right? Money. Most people are in the cybersecurity space, the white hat or the gray hat space, because they're going to spend their time trying to make money, right? And I would say money-wise, the cybersecurity industry is grossly underperforming. I think there's a ton more money to be made as a white hat or a gray hat. I think a lot of people are selling themselves short. So my intention is to say, wait a second, where are you going? Why are you going there? What is your purpose? If you're going to work for a federal agency, there's going to be a money question that you're going to have to answer. If you're going to go in business for yourself, there's going to have to be a money question and answer that you're going to have to seek. So that's the big thing in the room that most people don't want to talk about. And from my research, and I can prove it, the cybersecurity industry is grossly underperforming, monetarily speaking. I also want to tell you guys what you should be doing from the point of view of experience versus what you should not be doing. The time waster stuff, the stuff that's getting you off track from your goal, right? Stop doing them. Right? You want to get somewhere. It's like if we take that camping analogy, you're trying to go camping and then you got to stop and use the restroom 15 times, right? Or let's stop and take pictures. Oh, by the way, we should go shopping, right? You're getting sidetracked. You actually aren't going camping. What you're doing is running errands, right? And you're getting sidetracked, right? So I want to talk to you about what you should do and what you should not do. And feel free to use the hashtags and say what you think you should be doing or what you should not be doing. Here, what we get to do is something very uniquely. We get to participate as a group. Okay, if everybody uses the hashtags and the chats and makes Twitter explode, well, then we can take our little bit of effort and make it a big effort. But that means you guys have to take action, right? And so it's all about the reason why in this webinar. Simultaneously, here's what we're not going to do. I'm not going to give you a specific how I think you should do it. That specifically depends on what stage of the ethical hacker development you are in. Okay? And also, I'm not going to go into a bunch of tools and techniques. That's actually the super, super easy stuff. 90% of the people I'm willing to bet are afraid of that part or insecure about that part. But I promise you, that's the easy part. So I'm not going to go into the tool aspect of this. We're better off serving the reason why than the reason how. But I will be talking about reasons how too. Okay. Here are the different stages of how you become a different or a white hat or a gray hat hacker. Okay. Remember, think back to that success. I want you to synthesize here, which means to combine information. And I want you to think back to either the mountain or a life cycle of getting to your destination. Okay. There's actually multiple stages of getting to quote unquote success, right? There's the egg, there's the caterpillar, the chrysalis. Try saying that word 5 times. Right? That's probably if you guys didn't learn anything today, you're going to learn what chrysalis means. And of course, butterfly. Right? If you're looking for the straight path to success, the false assumption there is that you're going from egg right to butterfly. And that's not what happens. There's these other stages involved, and when you're in these stages, of your development, okay, you only have certain tools and resources to your, I guess at the end of your fingertips is an easy way to say it. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So 1 stage, 2 stage, 3 stage, 4 stage, right? It's not, start to finish. It's multiple stages. And I want to map that out, what each stage looks like, their problems and their opportunities as we move forward. Okay, quickly, the format that we're going to be doing here, for those of you who like structure, basically we did the meet and greet, we've done the official welcome, right? I'm going to give you a personal story. We'll talk about the main content. Then, of course, there's question and answers, and then anything to follow up and finish with. I have a few surprises that are coming. So if you stick with me, I'm going to make it well worth your time, right? But that means you can't get off the webinar. You got to stay to the end. Staying to the end is when it makes it all worth it for you. Okay, so if you stick around, you'll have a realistic expectation of what success really looks like to be a white hat or a gray hat hacker. You'll also pick up some of the resources that you're going to need to master your way along your journey. And don't forget, at the very end, I'm going to give you a free gift if you stick around. Also, I want you to think about checklists. Okay, this is a very, very important lesson. If I were you, I would write down checklists. Remember, today's about taking action. So everything that I tell you to do, you should either write down a note to do it or do it as we're going along. Okay? The story here of checklists, and feel free to use the hashtags for this. I want you to ask yourself why pilots use checklists. A pilot that, flies in a plane, they're getting ready to take off, right? Before they take off and before they land, they use checklists. Why? The answer is so they don't kill themselves, okay? There's a lot of things to think about, and you got to checklist these things off as you go through them, right? How else are you supposed to know that you're ready to go camping? Well, your checklist would be complete. Okay, how do you know you're getting ready to take off or you're ready to take off? Well, your checklists are complete. These are big picture stuff here, folks, but it's worth noting how serious this stuff is. I mean, if you're thinking, oh, okay, he's a checklist. Okay, got it. You're missing the point completely. Okay, checklists keep you from dying. Okay, not just travel checklists, but checklists for your education, checklists for your emotional education, checklists for your financial education, right? Checklists for tools that you want to learn or have learned, checklists of documents that you should read or not read, checklists for the number of certifications that you should have versus don't have. You see where I'm going with this? We're in the information age, and we're going to cover a lot of subjects and topics. So many that I suggest you get used to using checklists. These are not just for ADD people anymore. These are for everyone. Okay? So, I talked about hashtags. The dedicated hashtag for this is cybersecurity live. If you need something specifically for me, my personal hashtag is code of learning. Okay? You can find it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So I encourage you to participate. If you just do this passively and you do not take action, then basically it's me talking, nobody listening. Or if everybody was listening, it's me talking to 1,000 people. But we can get so much more effective in what we do if all of us take one action. If all of us use the hashtags, then we go from one person to 1,000 people to 10,000 people. So all of us will be looking how popular these hashtags are, but it all starts with you taking action. I encourage you to connect with Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter for University of Fairfax using Cybersecurity Live or Code of Learning if you want me to answer something specifically. So let's survey some things. Here's where you can use the hashtags. What do you want to know about ethical hacking? White hat hacking or gray hat hacking? Either type them in your chat dialog boxes or use the hashtags. to really address the problem of what it takes to become a white hat hacker or gray hat hacker, you have to understand the problems that everybody's having, or else how are you going to overcome those problems? So hashtag them. Also, what limitations or excuses are you using? Depending on what stage you are, the egg all the way through to the butterfly, you're going to start using different excuses. I want you to be very, very conscious of the excuses that you use. You're going to, it's nice outside. I don't feel like using Metasploit. I've been studying for 2 hours and I need to take a break. Typically, I study, 3 to 6, 7 hours a day sometimes, plus work. I'm always learning. If you want to become a white hat hacker or gray hat hacker, you better get used to the learning. Okay? So what excuses are you have? What problems are you have? Are you being paid enough? Remember, you're trading time for money in some cases here. So again, the big elephant in the room is, well, we got to address the financial problem. How do you get paid as a white hat or a gray hat hacker? We're going to get there. But I'd also like to ask you, what are you happy with and not happy with? Use the hashtags. When it comes to, of course, white hat hacking, don't tell me that you wish the dishes in your sink were cleaned. Right? If that's going to make you happy, that's not what we use the hashtags. Right? Also, I want to find out your reason why. Why do you want to be a white hat or a gray hat hacker? What perceptions do you have about that? I heard a commercial on the radio, you think it's cool. Your friend told you, hey, it's cool, right? I would encourage it when people say I want to go to college. I'm talking about like the first time, right? What do you want to do when you go to college? It's like, I'm just going to go and I'll figure it out when I get there. You should have a very specific reason of why you want to go, or why are you going? Right? Why are you doing something if well, I'm just doing it. Everybody else was going to college, right? You should have a reason why, right? Getting to the white hat or gray hat stages of hacking, if you're not driven by a very, very powerful why, I promise you're never going to get to the top of the mountain. That's for sure. That is what experience, I can say that unequivocally, without a doubt. That's what experience will tell you. That is what I wish someone would have told me 20 years ago. If I had that guidance, I would be 10 times further than where I am right now. Right? So we have to look into these reasons why you're doing it, right? And mentoring and coaching, right? Seek advice from people that have done it before you, right? If you want to become a dentist, you might as well go volunteer some time at a dentist to figure out that you love it so much that you want to spend every single day doing that. That is a priceless lesson, right? So if you want to become a white hat, we'll go hang out with a white hat, right? See what they do for over the course of the day and go, if you go, wow, I would love to do this every single day, right? Well, then it's probably for you, right? But if you're like, no way, not me, then it's not for you, right? And then we need to find out what you're realistically interested in. This is why you talk to college admissions representatives. They can answer questions like this, right? You tell them, well, I'm interested in this, or I'm interested in that, and they go, oh, God, well, that means this, go here. That means go there, right? They know that stuff inside and out. Right? They have those paths, those traditional educational paths mapped out all for you. Okay? But what we're going to start with is the egg. Right? This is the beginning stage. Okay? So what does this stage of becoming a white hat feel like? It feels like you're out there in the masses. It feels like you're crowded, right? Right? You're learning who the people are. You're bumping into everything. Nobody enjoys being out in a crowd, indefinitely. Everybody essentially at some point is going to go, I want to go back inside. I'm tired of people. I want to go back inside, right? It's time to go home, right? But remember, you're in this small, little, tiny egg. It's worth looking at again, right? Your little, tiny egg. Imagine, mommy and daddy butterfly laying the egg and then flying off. And, there's 100 trillion other eggs out there trying to become a caterpillar, right? So this is the masses. So it feels like it's very, very crowded, right? Okay. So what you're probably going to find yourself doing when you're an egg is just reading any and every book that you can get your hands on to try to educate yourself. This also includes time-consuming research. If you feel like you're just exploring things and there's so much stuff out there on, hacking and penetration testing and tools and people and resources, right? All that time-consuming research, you're starting to feel the overwhelming sense that there's a whole world out there. Remember, you're an egg, right? Right? But ultimately, you have to decide, are you going to continue forward and go to the next stage, caterpillar? If you are, you're going to need a strong reason why. You're going to need a reason to live. Okay? So those reasons are going to be different for every single person that is trying to get to become a white hat, a pen tester, incident response, cybersecurity manager, any of that stuff. You have to have a reason why you're doing it. And if you don't, why? Then my question becomes, well, why are you doing it? Okay. That's like, to me, that's the person that like keeps hitting the hammer on their hand and goes, ow, it hurts. But yet they just keep hitting it, ow, it hurts. And it's like, why are you self-destructing? Why, if you don't enjoy it, what are you doing? Right? Because some people, frankly, are miserable in the cybersecurity white hat, gray hat space. Right. So I always look, and when I interact with those people, I'm always thinking to myself, why are you doing this? To yourself at that. Okay. So let's talk about some of the problems that you're going to have on your journey to become a white hat hacker, right? There's problems when you're in this egg stage of development. Okay, you're reading everything that you can possibly get your eyes on. However, reading is only 10% effective according to the cone of learning. You're only going to remember 10% of what you read after 2 weeks. Also, I would suggest that if you're taking practice tests, right, if you read something, wait 2 weeks and then take a quiz on it, you should get at least a 10%. Okay? So if you haven't learned what the cone of learning is, start studying it. Remember, research takes a lot of time. You're losing your time by doing this. The egg has to sit there and wait to hatch. Okay? So you're going to feel lost. You'll feel like you don't understand yourself. You're going to feel like you don't have a purpose. That's why I have to get into this reason of why. Right? You're going to feel like you're watching life from the sidelines because, again, you're just waiting to hatch. You're also constantly going to feel tested. Remember how many other eggs are out there and everybody's trying to get an easy snack. So literally people are trying to kill you if you're an egg. Okay. It also feels like you're at the bottom of the mountain, and that is because you are. Okay. You can't get mad at the different stages. You can only identify where you are and what stage you're in, and then try to plot a path to get to the next stage. Okay. Don't be mad if you're at the bottom. That's like saying, wow, look, this mountain is really, really big. I don't think I want to climb it. Right? It's one step at a time, and eventually you'll get there. Okay. The resources of the egg. Many people have learned, cybrary.it. I specifically did the penetration testing, ethical hacking, and forensics course. Right? So if you want to see hands-on examples, there you go, all day long. There's your how. Udemy, right? You can get an idea of what life is like simply by taking some low-cost Udemy courses. Also, books, they're under $20, right? So you want to learn what happens in life, right? The egg wants to, peek outside and go, hey, what's out there, right? You want to learn what that landscape is. Any books that have the word hacking anywhere in the title or the first page. That's your resources when you're an egg. Simultaneously, if you move on to hearing and seeing activities as opposed to reading, YouTube will become one of your next resources. And again, there's thousands of subjects for you to get into, way too much material to get into here and now. But at this point, your research-oriented pretty much exclusively. You're trying to figure out your reason of why, right? You're going to start learning industry products like snort intrusion detection or tripwire for integrity intrusion detection, or what password crackers are, what the popular scanners are, or how do you do web application pen testing versus mobile pen testing, right? Nonetheless, keep in mind, you're in that research, hey, I'm an egg and the world is outside of me and I'm curious about what's out there. Okay, so everything is going to be you reaching out to try to touch and consume every and any resources that you can get your hands on. But eventually, you're going to get out of the egg stage and you're going to become a caterpillar. Okay, so finally, you're alive. You can walk for the first time. Okay, what does the caterpillar stage feel like? It feels like progress, right? You're making chess moves at this point in time. You're moving forward. You might have that first job, not necessarily related to white hat or gray hat, but you might have your first industry-oriented job. Okay, so you're going to start your career essentially as like a database administrator, a network administrator, working at a help desk, being part of the security team. You're just starting life. And that goes from anybody with 1 to 10 years of experience. Okay? And I say 10 years because, frankly, that's how long you are a caterpillar for. Okay? Some of you will get lucky and figure things out and reduce that time in your life, right? How long does it take you to, become a caterpillar, right? That's what we're talking about here. All right? Reduce that time by 5 years if you get the right information. If you just stay there and keep researching and researching and researching and procrastinating and waiting and waiting and waiting, essentially you're going to live a very long life as a caterpillar. So I've seen people that have been caterpillars in their 20s, and I've seen caterpillars in their 70s. Everybody's going to be different. You just got to figure out, well, what stage are you in? Okay, but you're getting your career started. What you will not be doing is working as a gray hat hacker. You're not going to have the necessary clearances, especially if you want to be a white hat. If you're a gray hat, you're not going to know how to run a business yet. But you're ultimately trying to get to the point where you get paid to think like a hacker daily. The way a hacker thinks is they're very, very good at thinking outside the box, which means defining the box and then thinking outside of it. All right. The problems that you're going to have if you're in your caterpillar stage is really you're still really young. Now, I don't care if you're 70, you could still be really, really young. Okay. You've got a lot of growth left in you. You just aren't aware of them. You thought your whole life was to be a caterpillar. That's all that you know at this point. You don't know that there's 2 more stages to go through. But you are going to start realizing the importance of degrees. Right? Sometimes I meet people that have 1 degree. They could have a bachelor's in basket weaving, or they can have 2 or 3 bachelor's degrees, and sometimes 2 and 3 master's degrees, all cybersecurity related. Okay? So keep that in mind. 1 degree, 6 degrees. That's what your competition essentially looks like, especially if you're in the white hat space. However, there's a slight alternative to that, which is the certification route. This is used by both white hats and gray hats. This accelerates your growth to get to the next stage, or decreases your time when you figure this out. Right? This is great stuff for you guys to hashtag. I wish I would have, figured out the 2 types, degrees and certifications earlier, that type of stuff. But you won't have the experience that other people are realistically looking for. You're trying to get into this space of white hat, gray hat, pen testing, things like that, but you don't quite fit the ideal candidate just yet. And indicators here would be you're not comfortable in interviews. Or if you're a gray hat, you're not comfortable with finding work on a weekly basis because you work for yourself. These are the 2 major hurdles of caterpillars, essentially. Right? When I talk to people and I'm evaluating, where they are in their career, when people talk to me about jobs, and getting that cool job, but they're not comfortable with interviews. To me, you're not comfortable as being a caterpillar. You're not going to be able to get to the next stage until you get comfortable being in interviews. So the way to solve that is to interview a whole lot. Okay? Get over your fear. Get out there. Network with your community. Again, participate in the crowd. Right? If you're in the gray hat space, you're not going to be comfortable finding work. Right? You're going to want to constantly have a fear of, okay, I got to go find a job because I can't make it on my own. Right? And I'm going to solve these problems coming up here later on in the presentation. So stick with me here. But the whole goal of a caterpillar is to feel frustrated. Right? You either can get mad at the obstacles ahead of you, or you can figure out a way to solve those problems that you have. But you have to see the brick wall that is in front of you before you figure out how to get around it. What I'm telling you right now is, what is the brick wall you're having in your life? You use the hashtags, Code of Learning or Cybersecurity Live. Right? Tell me the brick walls that if you're a caterpillar, tell me the brick walls. Because guess what? Here, the people that have already figured out what the next stage is, they already know how to get to the other side of the wall. So if you're really smart, you'll go ask them how'd you get to the other side. Or stick with me and I'll show you. Resources of the caterpillar: college, certifications. I myself have over about 58 certifications. I just picked up 8 a couple weeks ago. All right. Anything in the certification space that you already know of to cybersecurity, Security Plus, CEH, pen testing, offensive security certified professional, plenty vendor certifications out there, CISSP, CISM, CISA. Okay. You start collecting certifications. It seems to be a fun game these days, who has the most, right? So if you want to get to the top of the mountain, the more certifications, the higher you go. Also, your resource as a caterpillar, you'll start networking more with LinkedIn. Okay, you really take some serious consideration about what you use in your profile, what words you're using, what do you want to be known for, how do you want to brand yourself, how do you want people to find you, what problems do you solve for people. These are, how many references do you have, how many people have recommended you, what is the groups and affiliations that you're with. Okay, you're building yourself as a caterpillar when you're doing those things. That's how you get to the next stage. I can't be any more clear than that. Okay, you also have job boards figured out dramatically. All right, like Monster, Career Builder, any cybersecurity job board out there. Notice I didn't say networking here because that's really for the next stage. If you're a gray hat, you'll be getting your LLC or setting up your company at this stage. Okay? So, do you want some really good free advice? There's a few resources that I can help you with in this stage, but only if you know where to look. So, if you want free resources, use the hashtags Cybersecurity Live, Code of Learning. Here's the 3 best things that you can do for yourself. I have about 15 that I was going to choose from, but probably these are the best ones. You're going to need to figure out what smart students know, straight A students, essentially, and how easy it can be to actually get straight A's. I don't want to spoil it too much. It does have to do with taking action. I'll give you that. But it has to do with finding the points and collecting them, right? Whenever you're graded in college, right, you want to get an A and they give out the syllabus and tell you where your percentage of points are, right? The straight A students looks at that, 20% for this, 20% for that, and they collect all of those points. And everything they do is strictly oriented to getting those points. What the C student does is anything but that, really. They do a lot of, I read the whole book because I liked it. That type of stuff, right? It's not specifically tied to getting the points, right? So that'll help frame a lot of your thinking. The next is the book of the blur, the speed of change in a connected world. This will compare the industrial age versus the information age. The argument in this book that you should absolutely take away is some of you are still operating in the industrial age with your thinking. Okay? The white hat hacker thinks with information and data. The well, in the information age, the white hat uses data and information to their advantage. In the industrial age, it's all about physical resources. A great point, real quick, if I can make a point, if you're still looking for resume paper to print out to mail in somewhere, that's industrial age thinking. If you're seeking out connections on LinkedIn and in making relationships on job boards, that's informational age thinking, right? Next is Rich Dad Poor Dad, because this will help address the money issue. It's probably this is one of those books where I was like, that would have helped 20 years ago. Okay, if you have it and you never read it or didn't take it seriously, give it another look. There's phenomenal financial perspective from that book. All right, next let's move on to the Chrysalis Stage. Okay, so all of a sudden you're a caterpillar and you find out, wait a second, I took this really, really long nap, and where'd this blanket come from? Okay, and you're going to hang out there for a while, but ultimately you're soon going to become a butterfly. So what does the Chrysalis Stage feel like? It feels like progress, right? You're now getting high enough on the mountain, and you can start to feel like, wow, I'm really close to doing what I want to do in life, right? I have the jobs that I've sought, and I am moving up in my career. I'm getting better roles. I'm getting higher pay. I'm solving bigger problems. I'm becoming more valuable to my company. Or if you're a gray hat, my business is finally growing, right? I'm getting my first couple of contracts. You're actually making money. In other words, you can look at your bank statement or PayPal or however you make money, and there's evidence of that. Significant money too. In the white hat space, I mean, you're looking at 80,000 to probably 160 on the top. Okay, so financially, you're going to start feeling progress. Okay, but my warning to you, right? When you go into the Chrysalis Stage, remember you're nice and comfortable in that blanket, right? You think, wow, this is so cool. I can just, lay around and take it easy, right? Complacency is right there staring at you in the face. You have to acknowledge that. And anybody who's gone through this will tell you, yeah, warning ahead, right? So what you're going to find yourself doing in the Chrysalis Stage is you're definitely going to be working full time in the space. You're going to be working on your bachelor's and master's degree. You should probably be doing it to the master's degree. Working on certifications because you think that's what recruiters are looking for. Gray hats also would be going into business and setting up business activities. All right. But the complacency issue is you could be wasting a lot of time on what you're justifying as life. Okay. You think it's life, but it's not really life, right? I'm talking about, the time killers. You start making decisions and you still think you need something else, but you really don't. Or you think you need to change careers or get another degree or get 10 more certifications. And this is all second guessing of really what's the final me look like. So most people go through this stage in their 30s to 50s, right? They're like, wow, I've been doing this for some time. Is this what I'm supposed to become in life? Is this really me? Is this the end? Right? Or is there another stage and another step to my development? Okay, so again, what I'm doing is plotting the path of how do you get from, the bottom of the mountain to the top, if the top is being a white hat or a gray hat hacker. Okay, this is very, very important analogies for you guys to embrace um, and understand. This is priceless advice here. Also, you're just going through the motions of life, right? Remember, this is like now you have solid routines, eating and sleeping. You're very, very structure oriented. You like that security. This is all symptoms and indicators of the Chrysalis Stage. But the problem is you don't realize that there are more growth ahead. You thought you just had to go to college and that was it. Okay, you got your master's, you got your bachelor's, you got 10 certifications. Well, must be done now, right? You thought you were done. You're not. You're not done at all. There's so much more growth for you to go to, right? If you're in this stage, then you still haven't mastered the job interviews or building a business, right? So you don't have all the skills that you need. You're comfortable with the ones that you have, but you still don't have all the skills that you need. Knowledge, skill, or ability. Those words are extremely different. You should look each one of them up. Knowledge, skill, and ability. And if I were you, it's worth an hour of your time. Look up the difference between knowledge, a skill, and an ability. Which ones are you focusing on? Okay. If you're a gray hat and you're in business for yourself, how do you find those new contracts? How do you get bigger contracts? How do you grow those contracts? Right? So you're going to feel like this is a world that you can live in. Right? But remember, this safe world is about to end. Right? There's more that happens inside this chrysalis stage, because remember, you're going to soon become a butterfly. So as comfortable as you are, it's going to end on your terms or somebody else's. Right? You can't just stay in the blanket forever. Okay? The resources of Chrysalis, advanced degrees. So 10 certifications today is worth one certification of 10 years ago. That's just a fact of the matter. People ask me, what security certifications should you get? My answer is always all of them. Keep going. What are you going to stop? Right? You have to constantly refine your hands-on skills. The penetration testing, ethical hacking operating system of today is Kali Linux, or backtrack. Some of us can't break that habit. Right? Also, you got significant growth. So now you're learning multiple operating systems, not just Windows, not just Mac, not just Linux. Okay? You people that are like, well, I love Linux, just cut it out. Right? But my Mac is my favorite. Cut it out. Okay? Learn all of them. That's what the hacker does. Okay? Learn open source tools versus commercial off the shelf software. Right? When I learned all of the commercial side of the tools, I was like, I thought I knew a lot. Then I realized that if you go open source, there's 10 tools for every one tool that there are commercially, and they all have a funny name to them. Okay? Big lesson to learn there. Learn multiple languages, programming languages, even literal languages. Learn multiple tools. Look up the Ethical Hacker Toolkit. This is all great stuff for you guys to be using the hashtag for. Remember, 1,000 becomes 10,000 very, very quickly if we all work together and keep that hashtag going. Also, multiple protocols, not just learning TCP/IP, but learning IPX, SPX, AppleTalk, Banyan Vines, right? There's plenty of other protocols that are in use, wireless protocols, mainframe protocols, web protocols. Keep learning that knowledge base. Remember, if you're going, I hate the OSI model, that's Caterpillar talk. Okay, you're fighting the process. You don't want to get out of that caterpillar because you think, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable, man. I get to eat all day long. Right? But ultimately, we got to get to the butterfly stage of this. So what does a butterfly stage look like? It feels like you're a hacker. You're able to solve problems in your mind way before the industry figures them out. It's almost like seeing into the future. As a matter of fact, it is because you're creating the future. Right? If you're waiting around for somebody else to do something, they're probably not going to do it. You got to do stuff for yourself at this stage, either, at work, in the employment sector, or in your own business. Okay? It's going to feel like growth. Okay? What you're going to find yourself doing in the butterfly stage is, working full-time in cybersecurity, working as a white hat, moving up the organizational ladder, meaning you started as a Windows admin, then you moved into incident response, then you became a chief security officer, now you're the cybersecurity director. That's vertical growth. Horizontal growth would be Windows admin to database admin to web admin. That's horizontal growth. If you're running your business, now you're going to really understand how to market your stuff. how to create products and services, how to scale your business, how to stay alive and not be eaten. Okay? You're also at this point studying motivation, studying leadership, and studying the few people that are at the top of the mountain that are essentially in your pool. Okay? But nonetheless, I don't want you to think that, the final stage is butterfly and it's this, hey, I get to fly around, beautiful thing, and there's no problems there. There are problems in the butterfly stage too. Most people are trying to eat or challenge you, questioning, how smart you are, what do you know? Some of that's just simply based in fear. There's still more to learn, and you need to validate those skills with degrees and certifications, or frankly, you have no chance. That I can be super, super clear about, right? If you're not validating yourself in terms of degrees and certifications, nobody's going to waste their time. I mean, unless you invent a quantum computer or something like that, you pretty much have no chance. Just letting you know, the oxygen gets thin at the top of the mountain, right? You also still have to choose what path you want to work as a white hat butterfly, right? Are you going to stay on the administrative side of the house? Are you going to run a whole technical division? Or are you going to deal with operations? One of the cool things about incident response in a large data center is I got to test all three of these ways of thinking. I had to do all the paperwork on the administrative side. I had to solve all the technical problems, and I had to run incident response or all the operational, what needed to get done every single day, because we had metrics tracking that. So that was a great education for me. You will be expected to solve other people's problems at this stage, right? So I want to be very clear here. You're a butterfly when, okay? If you can work full time as a white hat penetration tester, you definitely are going to be solving other people's problems. If you're in business for yourself, you will be solving other people's problems. That's what butterflies do. They make a business out of, or run somebody else's business out of, solving problems. There's no mistaking that. The resources at the butterfly stage, okay, advanced certifications and degrees, right? So CISSPs, or Certified Advanced Security Practitioner, or the Offensive Security 24-hour and 48-hour hands-on exams. If you're focusing your time on these things, that's butterfly talk, right? If you're talking about advanced degrees, I mean, getting your master's, okay, that's butterfly talk, right? If you haven't thought about this stuff yet, if you're interested in a master's in cybersecurity, this is where you write a note to yourself, pick up the phone, and call the admissions rep. They will answer questions for you, right? I'm the certification guy. I deal with all the certification space, right? But there's actually an untold stage, right? I told you there was 4 stages. There's actually another. A very, very insightful perspective here. If you've made it in your career, right, you're not just doing this for you anymore. You need to fall in love with what you're doing and replicate your thoughts and actions. Okay? You have to create offspring to carry out your genetic profile, essentially. That's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm giving back to the community. Right? Maybe somebody will listen to what I'm saying and go, "Wow, that made sense." And I help them get there faster, quicker, better. So I'm willing to teach others and mentor others. It's my way of giving back. Become a leader in what you do. Remember, you're already in uncharted territory, so you might as well lead and motivate others to lead too. But warning, use your skills for good and not evil. Don't go to the dark side. Okay? The problem. All right. At the butterfly stage, the problem is that you might not have a clear view of what it takes to live, work, and survive as a hacker. And if you don't have that clear insight of what it takes to live, work, and survive as a hacker, then I would suggest you need to find someone to show you. Okay. Another problem is you're probably not thinking like a hacker yet. and solving other people's problems and thinking outside of the box. So learn to think like a hacker. And there also can be a sense of frustration and also complacency here as well. Remember here, just because you're a butterfly, you don't have a full understanding of what it takes to overcome the obstacles of life. You can't be mad at those obstacles, but there's always a way to overcome them. Okay? Because you don't have the guidance that you need, you're not asking for help, and you're listening to the wrong advice from people that frankly don't know what the heck they're doing. Also, you're probably not investing in yourself, so you're having a problem as a butterfly. Remember, you're flying now, and you think you don't need to go back to school anymore, right? You think you don't need another certification. You think you don't need to learn how to scale your business. Or you simply can't follow directions. Okay, believe it or not, this is actually very, very critical. I want to test you right now on something, right? If you've been listening to what I've been saying, okay, I can test you right now if you have what it takes or you don't have what it takes to become a butterfly. So everybody ready to perform the test? I'm going to walk you through what this test is. I want everybody to get out a piece of paper right now. Quick scramble, go find a piece of paper and a pen, or have somebody write it down. And I want you to write a check out to me, right? I want you to write a check out to me. I want you to write pay in the order of Leo Dregier to the amount of $10,000. Okay? Go ahead, I'll give you time. Remember, this is a test. Get out a blank check, write $10,000 to Leo Dregier, and sign it. Okay? Everybody got the piece of paper, pen, wrote it down? Let's see how you did. If you wrote that check out, congratulations, you can be coached and mentored. Okay? You have the ability to follow directions. You have the capacity to have someone else coach you so you can make a lot more money, get the degrees that you need, get the jobs that you need, move up in your career, solve the real problem that you're having, whatever problem that is, depending on what stage you're in. You have that capacity if you followed my directions. If you resisted to write me a check for $10,000, remember, I never said that you had to give it to me. Right? Did you come up with a whole bunch of excuses? I don't have a pen. Right? It's going to take too long. I'm driving. This isn't worth it for me to pull over. Hopefully a whole bunch of people didn't pull over in traffic right there. Traffic tonight. If traffic tonight is bad, you'll know why. Right? What excuses did you come up with? Did you think that it wasn't necessary to actually go through the actions? Or did you think maybe I was just up to something? Right? Either way, all of these are excuses. So you either followed through on this and did it because you have the ability to follow directions, or you fought the process. So ask yourself, in all honesty, why didn't you write out the check? Again, I never said you had to give it to me. So why did you fight me on that? Very, very, very important lessons here. Okay? So if you want to think like a hacker, you have to define your box. Your problems are in that box. Your solutions are outside of that box. I want you to learn how to think outside of the box. Think unconventionally. Remember, the convention and the way that the conventional people think is at the bottom of the mountain. If you want to get to the top of the mountain, you're going to need to think differently. That I can promise you. Anybody who's a soaring butterfly will tell you, yes, you're going to need to learn to think differently. You're going to need to learn how to overcome complacency. You're going to need to know how to stop being your own worst enemy and wasting your own time. Okay? Now, solutions for white hats. Get your degrees. Get your certifications. Stop making excuses. And also, super, 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 if I could give you super Jedi advice here, okay, realize that time is always working against you. That the day that you don't take action, the day that you put off calling your enrollment counselor and go, you know what, this isn't for me. The day that you go, I don't feel like getting my certifications, right? That's more time. It doesn't affect me if you get your degrees and certifications or not, okay? But what it does for you is, are you ready to take action or not? Are you ready to overcome the hurdles that you have depending on what stage are you in or not? Right? It's like if I told you how to become the best white hat hacker in the world and I gave you the most perfect advice, how many of you are realistically even going to listen to it? Right? If one person does, I hope you make that choice. But, statistically speaking, 99% of you typically won't. 99% of you will routinely stay at the bottom of the mountain, despite being told how to get to the top. You just have to choose, do you want to see the view from the top or do you want to live life down at the bottom? Your choice. Okay. What I mean by this is, please work up the corporate ladder, build a business. Okay. Increase your salary by increasing your net worth to the company you work for. If you save them $2 million as a white hat hacker using your brain, and trust me, $2 million is not hard to find. It sounds like a lot. It's really not once you tune into that frequency. It's a lot easier to justify a salary of $200,000. You save somebody $2 million. Now all of a sudden, try having them talk you out of $200,000. That puts the odds in your favor in an interview, doesn't it? We'd like to give you a 1% raise. Excuse me, I saved you $2 million this year. How about 200,000 and I take the rest of the year off? All right, how about 150 and you work the rest of the year? Sold. You follow me there, folks? But you have to think outside the box in order to figure out how to pull stuff like that off. Solutions for gray hats. Study the $60,000 work week model. Learn to use unconventional resources to your advantage, like webinars, coaching programs, and sell your products and services. Don't be afraid to create a product. Don't be afraid to offer a service. Grow. Right? You want to make $1 million here. That's easy. Every hacker should know this inside and out. You want to make $1 million? All you need to do is figure out how to get 5,000 people to buy a $200 product. Boom, sold. If you can solve that equation in your head using the internet, you can make $1 million. So frankly, there's no reason why you should be complaining about 100, because if you want to solve the $100 a year salary element of it, that problem can be solved. If you want to solve the $1 million a year equation, that problem can be solved. Okay, so learn to think and study success. Some of my favorite people to watch and learn are Gary Vaynerchuk, Robert Kiyosaki, and Grant Cardone. Or frankly, if you still are in that watching TV stage, watch the Shark Tank. That'll get you to think differently. It'll show you a different way to think about a lot of things, frankly, that you don't have the opportunity to see every day. So it's somewhat refreshing. All right. Here's what I want you to stop doing. Stop doing the things that keep you from your goals. Stop listening to people who give you bad advice. And stop the complaining. I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. Those are just excuses. All the butterfly hears, folks, excuses. Senior level management, what do you think they're hearing? I can't work late. Right? I want to go home. Right? Clearly, you want to go back down the mountain. You want to go down the mountain or you want to go up the mountain? So stop with the excuses. If you don't create your own future, I promise, this is 100% true. It should be in stone somewhere. Nobody is going to give it to you for free. You have to create your own path as a leader and a mentor. Okay? Again, take action. Create action plans. Use mind maps to condense lots of information. Those are white hat hackers. They typically use mind maps, mind map software. Instead of reading books and PowerPoint, they use mind maps. Also, I highly recommend you find a career coach. You probably just haven't asked somebody yet. Find somebody who has what you want and ask them for help. Build a business. Solve other people's problems. That's what white hat hacking is all about. You know, a lot of people go, well, it's like what you thought it was versus what it really is. Remember that success map in the beginning? You thought success was a straight line. I'm showing you that it's not, right? You want to get ahead through the multiple stages of growth to get to a white hat hacker stage. You're going to need to go through lots of change for years to come. Know that, embrace that, please. Okay? So if you want to know what's next, well, that all depends on what stage you're in. If you want to start making money outside of traditional employment, you can easily use things like Udemy, Elancer, Odesk, Upwork, and Fiverr, and learn how to create your own products and services. This is how you dibble dabble, which is where most people are in that stage. So you want to know what's next, learn how to make money using those tools at a minimum, especially if you're a gray hat. That is how it gets done. Even if you sold stuff on eBay, that still counts. Again, you're solving problems, right? You don't have to sell your security product on eBay. You sell any product on eBay. And I'm not talking one. Try to sell 10,000. Figure out how to sell 10,000 on eBay. That's white hat hacker thinking. I'm sorry, gray hat hacker thinking. Okay? Traditionally, when we talk about hacking, this is the framework in which we are doing it in, right? So now for the first time, I'm taking the veil off. Everything that I've been talking about up until this point is based on why. Here's the how. This is where you should spend your time. Okay? Spend your time on learning the footprinting techniques, reconnaissance techniques, learn how do you scan a network? Learn how to do that. How do you get more from a network or a host or an operating system or a web browser? Enumeration. Actually learn the different hacks that have been done in the past. I mean, Metasploit has like 1,500 exploits right now. So learn how to do all of them. Study malware, especially if you're a butterfly. Learn how to sniff traffic. One of the most important skills you'll ever learn technically is how to take apart network traffic with a sniffer and solve problems from sniffing the problems, as opposed to using the operating systems. Learn the different components of social engineering. That means you have to learn people skills. So frankly, some of you nerdy people, you're going to have to learn some people skills. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, right? Denial of service. Learn what that's all about. Okay. After 1 through 5, essentially all of these are a la carte subjects, right? So malware all the way down to cryptography, those are all specialty areas. The white hat hacker generally can do all of this on multiple operating systems, using multiple protocols, using multiple open source tools, and they're completely comfortable with all of these topics. Okay? You've probably already been talking about some of these topics and concepts when you got your Security Plus, your CISSP, your CEH, or your OCSP certification. Okay? Next is, you can even go beyond the basics and go into specialty areas, like the Hacking Exposed book series. Okay? Mobile hacking, database hacking, car hacking, forensics. There's a great book, the Web Application Security Hacker's Handbook. That's phenomenal. If you don't know that by now, you should get it, right? But quiz, are you willing to take action? And do you want help getting through these stages? Okay? Or better yet, you want to make $1 million. All of these things have been solved before. But there's a scene in the movie with Jim Carrey where, he's like, please just give me a sign. Please just give me a sign. And, he's going over the bridge and he sees one sign after another, and after another, and he just ignores them all. Okay? I want you to know all you have to do is ask for help, but listen to that help. That's how you get to become a white hat and a gray hat hacker. You have to learn to ask questions from people that have what you want. Okay? Also, I recommend that you become the absolute best at what you do. Okay, if you watch the recent Olympics lately, right? Sarah Ledecky, she was like 3 swimmers ahead of people. Get so far ahead in what you're doing that nobody can even touch you. Okay, that's when you're really going to feel like you've reached your destination. Notice you're all alone by yourself at the top of the mountain here. The analogy is crystal clear, right? Ahead at the top, more people at the bottom. You have to start at the bottom, you have to get to the top. They all started at the same place. Who won? Okay? Become the best at what you do. Okay? Now, something special. Okay? Thank you for attending. What I can give you right now is a 50% off coupon to a class that I have at Udemy called Hack Test Taking. If you just want it, 50% off, no questions asked. Here's your free 50% off. Use the coupon code UTTC50. However, I will be watching all of you. For those of you that use the cybersecurity live chat, and I mean you got to chat a lot. You got to ask questions. You got to talk. Hashtag it out. We're going to have a hashtag competition essentially. I'm going to be looking for the people that use this hashtag, and I will give you that course for free. I will show you what it's like to become an expert test taker. Okay, for free, 100% off, no questions asked. But I'm only going to be giving that to the people that use the hashtag cybersecurity live. So there's incentive there. If you don't feel like doing that, thank you for attending. Here's your 50% off. Ultimate Test Taking Clinic 50. Okay. So if you need to contact us, again, it's Cybersecurity Live. You can contact the university. And, if you're going to find me in some way, shape, or form, let's make it funny. Use the hashtag or in the subject, put, I want to be a butterfly. That way I can identify anything related to this. All right. You can reach me at info@thecodeoflearning or on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So let's go into some chat. What can we talk about? Let's check to see if there's any hashtag or Twitter activity. Okay, Cybersecurity Live. Good, James Lawton. Thank you for using the hashtag. You just got 100% off on the course. Right? I want to see a whole bunch of these out there, right? So I'm going to be checking this over the next coming hours and days. If you use the hashtag Cybersecurity Live, 100% off of the course. So let's go through and talk about any sort of questions that you guys may have. Okay, we'll wait for them to come in. Don't forget, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, Cybersecurity Live. We can start an online discussion using the hashtag. Good, Sabrina. So now we're going. Sabrina, you just got access to a free course on how to hack test taking. This is also an example of following directions, right? Taking actions and follow directions. I want to see this grow, but it all starts with taking action. So James, Sabrina, you win. Let's see who else wants $100. All right. Thank you guys for attending. And we will follow up with everyone who uses the hashtag cybersecurity live.